Right, morning. Welcome everybody, and a very early morning welcome to Laura once again with her flashcards. And then she's not flashing us, but she's just flashing her cards at us. But you know, you never know what might happen on these forums, so we'll just have to wait and see. So this morning we're talking about natural laws. Are any laws natural? Depends where they come from, I suppose. So Lee, this was your idea, I think, yesterday. So natural laws, yeah. No, don't shake your head. It's a natural law. You're the boss. You've got to do the explanations here. So it's just a natural law of wisdom's chat.
I'm perfectly happy to continue the conversation, but it was definitely Trevor's idea. So as soon as he mentioned the idea, this thing, so for Laura, we've been on a journey of looking at laws. So we looked at one of the topics of conversation. What would the world look like with no rules? And then, you know, if you could consolidate rules into 10 or 3 or even into 1, what would those rules be? And then we've meandered into Nietzsche. So we've had a whole conversation on Friedrich Nietzsche. Tabiso is amazing. You need to listen to that YouTube clip where he does his 10-minute overview of Nietzsche in the best way you could possibly imagine. And today we're going to talk about natural laws. So what are the natural laws that we feel, you know, most relevant to ourselves, or how do natural laws connect with who we are and what we do? And I immediately thought about this book. So I am reading this book, Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett and David Evans. They are engineers and run a program at Stanford on designing your life. So they use design principles in applying them to your life. And at the beginning of the book, they give some steps to basically clear the ground before you can get into the actual design process, which is problem solving, really. And he says we also tend to get mired in what we call gravity problems. And he gives this example. I've got this big problem and I don't know what to do about it. Oh, wow, Jane, what's the problem? It's gravity. Gravity? Yeah, it makes me crazy. I'm feeling heavier and heavier. I can't get my bike up hills easily. It never leaves me. I don't know what to do about it. Can you help me? And then he goes on to say, this example may sound silly, but we hear versions of this sort of gravity problem all the time. Poets just don't make enough money in our culture. They're not respected enough. What do I do about it? The company I work for has been family owned for 5 generations. There is no way that as an outsider, I'm ever going to be an executive. What do I do about it? I've been out of work for 5 years. It's going to be much harder for me to get a job, and that's not fair. What do I do about it? And so he gives all these examples of problems that we say the world is unfair, it's not working for me, I have all these issues that prevent me from being and doing who I want to be. And if I could just overcome those world problems, I will be fine and I will be happy. And they're saying they're gravity problems. There is nothing you can do about gravity. It is what it is. Move on, find something else, do something else, or accept it. Find a way of accepting the gravity for what it is. So I thought that was just an interesting application of a natural law into our lives.
Great, thanks, Lee. When my wife talks about gravity, she's just worried about all the bits that are sagging as you get older. So I mean, you know,
Yes, Ivan. Thank you for that. We don't worry about those problems.
Oh, okay. No, this doesn't happen to any of us here. I mean, it's yeah. So gravity is certainly a law, but well, we think it is. Recently, I saw something about phonons and photons and how they react differently to gravity, but that's a whole different discussion. So Ed, you better talk to us about natural laws. Natural laws of extreme runners. I don't know whether there's a law for that, but there should be a law against it, I think. But anyway.
I think, Ivan, you've shown a complete lack of gravity by talking about saggy bits. I'm kind of thinking one of the laws should be that people shouldn't read management books, but never mind, that's another thing. I don't think there are any natural laws. I think all laws are man-made. And if you look back on the philosophy around natural laws, it all comes out of the Roman civilization. That's when the first sort of thinking came about it. And I think there are observable facts like gravity, which we think is a law. And as Ivan just said, there are some things that don't follow those laws. And then, well, I lost my train of thought then.
You're just not following the rule book. You've got to get back on track here.
Yeah. And then I think Lee is wrong. There is something you can do about gravity. It's called aeroplanes, helicopters, drones, hot air balloons, dirigibles, all that sort of stuff that go up, which is interesting. And then, of course, Elon Musk, he's always escaping gravity by firing rockets all over the place. So, yeah. So I don't believe that there are any natural laws. And then some people might think that there's laws given to us by higher beings like God or Christ or whatever. But if you look at it, I think most God-given laws are observed more in the breach than the observance. Look at the number of people that die in wars on religious grounds. There's probably one God-given law that I observe, and that's I don't covet my neighbour's ox, but that's because I'm a vegan. So there you go. But I do believe in collective responsibility. Because I live in a democracy, because I can have my voice heard, because I can make a difference, I do believe in collective responsibility. So I do sign up to things like the UN Declaration of Human Rights. So I think there are laws that we've created, that we've signed up to, and maybe some things in my country I don't agree with, but I'm in a democracy, and therefore I've had my right to vote. My opinions weren't heard because the rest of the population think I should drive on the left-hand side of the road. So I drive on the left-hand side of the road. So I think, laws are a man-made thing. There's something we sign up to. There's something we accept. And if we don't accept them, we have to accept the consequences. It's part of living as a community, whether that is a community locally, a community nationally, or a community globally. We have to have laws to make it all work. But I don't think there are any natural laws. It's a jungle out there until we stop making it a jungle.
Why would we want to do that, Ed? Just make it all a jungle. It's much better place if it was all a jungle. Yeah, we also have collective responsibility here, but it all resides in the government, and they can just collect everything. So yeah, they're responsible for collecting it all.
What did you have for breakfast this morning, Ivan? Because you're on form this morning.
I haven't had breakfast yet. That's the problem. So yeah, we just have to go along these lines and see. Laura, natural laws. Come on, there must be some natural laws. I disagree with Ed completely, but he's one of the intellectuals on the group. I'm just the oak who presses the button, so I don't know.
Here's a natural law. This is everything I'm entitled to and everything I'm owed. Nothing. Nobody owes me nothing, and I'm not entitled to nothing. So I know one thing's for sure. The moment we're placed in this world, this event that we're having, we're destined to leave it. No one's gonna get out of here alive. We're gonna die. That's a natural law. You can't deny that. I can't give me one example that of someone who actually escaped living. Where'd they go? And if you got the proof, where'd they go? I don't know. Show me. I came out of the chute knowing that I'm going to go somewhere. Don't know where. I know, at least for me, where'd he go? I don't know. I don't see it. I would say that if someone has a religious affinity, scripture doesn't say this too shall remain the same. This too shall pass. The only constant is change. That's the only thing we can count on. Something's going to be different. I don't know what, I don't know how. It's just, when has anything ever remained exactly the same? It hasn't. I was born to die. Sounds cliche, but that's one thing I can count on. Kind of morbid, but at least gotta make the best of it every day. It's like I'd say instead of you only live once, you only die once. So live every day. What I got.
Sure. Okay. Well, you just gave my cat a fright. Looking for some comfort and solace after that depressing. Yeah. So now we've got two Tabisos on this forum. Yeah, Tabiso's got a painting of a skull on his desk just to remind him that he's not going to survive much longer. So Tabiso, you and Laura, soulmates. Yeah, see, don't know what we're gonna have to get some people who actually know how to look at the positive side of life on this forum. So Tabiso, over to you.
Okay, I want to talk about, one universal law that governs all the universal laws, namely the law of attraction, the law of gender, the law of polarity, the law of correspondence, the law of mental, the law of vibration, and the law of vibration, And this one law that governs everything is called like the generative principle, and it says that what you care, enough about, and you put your will behind is actually what gets manifested into the world, For example, the great Lionel Messi, a football superstar, like the greatest soccer player ever, knows he's going to score a penalty, when it comes to game time, because he has scored penalties like a million times in practice, and hence like the whole 10,000 hour rule for attaining mastery, when you put your will behind something, every day, when you care enough, information gets revealed, and you get better, it works because ultimately, the universe, the world is actually information. And when you interact with your study of field, more information actually gets revealed to you, So in this case, Lionel Messi, knows how to kick a ball because he has kicked it enough time, He knows how to kick a ball. He will score, He cares enough, When you care about something enough, you do it with all your might, you want to get better at it, you are diligent and you feel fulfilled. And this is what is actually reflected in the world. You are actually the best, you can't do great stuff without really caring, And I think that's like the problem with like most people, they don't care enough, they don't care about what they do daily, their habits, they don't care about their jobs, and that actually reflects onto the world, and their lives are so horrible, they are grumpy, they are angry and nihilistic, I think that you have to care enough. When it comes to natural laws, I think that care is actually very big. You know, I think care is my natural law. You know, I believe that you can actually achieve anything. You just have to care enough, you know, and when you care enough to do something constantly every day, like I said, you know, information gets revealed every time you engage with that thing, you know, so you become better, you know. Um, you are always vibrating, you know. I think that's the thing. You are always vibrating, and when you engage in your study of field, you vibrate at a higher wavelength, you know, and you attract things that are on that wavelength, and you are the best in that thing, you know. I think that care is everything, you know. It is how you create your reality. It is how you create your destiny, you know. Care is the big natural law, you know. It is the law that actually governs everything in the world, in my opinion, you know. And care is what I call the generative principle, you know, because it generates everything, and care is just everything. That's my one natural law. So thank you, Ivan.
Thanks so much, Tabisa. All right, Jasper, do you care about any of this?
Well, I wasn't sure where this thing was going to because, you know, by the third speaker, we were almost all ready to just go and lie in our graves. But I think the reality is there are laws. The fact that we don't understand it maybe doesn't nullify it. And I think progress in life has happened because of people over many years having seen phenomena and try and understand it. Because once you understand the law and you can then give it the mathematical equation, then you can use it to your advantage. So gravity can be bad for you if you step off a building you know, and try and defeat it. But gravity is good if you put a tank of water up a hill and let the gravity give the water pressure to run it into taps and things down in the village below. So now that they understand gravity, they can use it. And then also understanding, call it the law of lift. I'm still amazed by it. I in theory understand it. I'm still amazed to think that these tons of metal can actually fly because of the law of lift. But some laws supersede other laws once you know how to use it. But it took the many people, many years before they could master the law of lift. And now to use it to our advantage. And then there's now variants of it, like Eda said, the drones and all the other things out there. I want to add to Tabiso's law that I think the generative law, I want to add another law of stewardship. And the law of stewardship, in my definition, says the more you are diligent in looking after that which you are entrusted with, resources, people, opportunities, whatever, the more you are diligent in looking after that and growing it, the more you will be the more you will be entrusted with. So it's similar to his law of generative things. So yeah, so I think yes, Laura and the other people are right. We're not going to get out of this thing alive. So that must prompt you to say, then why am I here? If it was just to die, then what was the purpose? But if you do understand that it's all a higher calling, and then this bodily experience was just to prepare you, but the part of you that that lives forever is the soul and the spirit, then it's exciting how we are then using this earthly experience to develop the soul. And we don't know what's going to come year after until we're there. But I think I'm looking forward to live full out until I finish this this phase of life, and then get ready for the next phase of life, and trust the Creator who created me in the first place, that my time is not wasted here or there. So yeah, so that's I want to leave then with the law of stewardship.
Great, thanks, Jasper. Yeah, and definitely the law of gravity seems to work a lot better in the US than it does anywhere else, because Laura's having trouble keeping her head off the table. So, I mean, all right. So, Trevor, what are your laws? Are there any? Are there not? What's good, bad, or indifferent?
Yeah, well, again, Ed starts pushing my buttons immediately when he turns around and says there's no such thing as natural laws. They're all made up by man. Geez, what a twit. Where does he live in this blooming planet in the UK? I think he takes advantage of natural laws. But just giving some thought to this, which is not too deep, because I was struck by Murphy's Law this morning. That's why I came in late. So to me, I thought, if something is going to happen, it's going to happen at the worst possible time. And then I thought that was Murphy's Law, which is, and maybe Murphy stays next door to Ed. But look, I'm interested in the different, people went down different paths. And to me, in natural laws, you should be looking at nature. So I just, when Ed talks, I wonder which person on this planet, man, forces the sun up every morning in the east and pushes it down in the west. And then the moon sort of goes around on its regular cycle. I think these things this tends to be nature, I think, that is doing it. Is that why we call it Mother Nature? And is there a steward in nature? I don't know. So, these are things I start questioning based on the inputs that people make in these type of chats that we have. But two things strike me. I'm always amazed when I see how quickly nature takes back what man has created. And I think one of the examples of this are in Chernobyl. When you go back and have a look what has happened 20 to 30 years after that terrible event at Chernobyl, where that nuclear reactor actually exploded. I think it was in the late 80s, and people left the environment, and the animals took over, and the plants took over. And what that reminds me of are these programs that I'm always entranced by, treasure hunts in the Inca, the jungles of Mexico, where you find that pyramids have been completely taken over by the natural growth and vegetation. And what that tends to remind me of is that natural law, it tends to indicate to me that all things are in transition, that everything is transitory. And by that, I'm saying, if we, the application to me is, it's probably a cliche, if you're not growing, you're dying. And that if you just leave things and stand still, this natural law of atrophy, I think that's a natural law. If you don't work your muscles, if you don't get out on the road, everything atrophies. So and that is for me an indication that everything is in transition, and there's where I agree with Laura. We're on this planet. We seem to have a sort of finite period that we're on. But do we jump into the grave from day one just to shortcut your way to that particular end goal? I don't believe. I think you've got to be recognizing that this law of atrophy exists, or law of transition, and you've got to be doing as much as you can to be growing things, as opposed to allow things to die while you're around. The other one is, I think, which backs up you know, I always turn around and show you my formulation for mathematical calculations, which is based on 3 fingers, 1, 2, 3. And that is based on my observation in the rivers and paddling in rivers and paddling in the surf. And specifically from rivers, what I've actually seen is that rivers tend to follow the path of least resistance. And so for me, it says, you know, why make things complex? Why make them difficult for yourself? Because I think that's what man's problem really is. It's not woman's problem. Men make it difficult. Women just, they get things done simply. I'm trying to rescue myself in this thing because someone went down the wrong path with women in his opening statement this morning. So I just want to get on the right side of woman before gravity takes Laura's head and puts her out of commission for this chat. So, you know, I was thinking about that natural law of rivers following the path of least resistance, and it tends to tap into what that great philosopher at McDonald's by the name of Tabiso had to say. Something I can't remember. What did you actually say? You got to keep on going on. You got to keep on doing things. You got to keep on committing, and that's what rivers do. They keep on going down. They find the path of least resistance, and they erode away any obstacles to what it is that they want to achieve. And rivers tend to have a starting point and an end goal. And they seem to, if Ed Chapman doesn't interfere in the path of the river, in other words, man with man-made problems doesn't interfere in the path of the river, it will hit its objective using the easiest path it can possibly take. Now, is that something that we should be learning and ally that to, as I say, that great philosopher Tabiso, who turns around and says, daily commitment is what gets you to be an excellent Lionel Messi. Shoot, 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 because the more you shoot, the more experience you get at getting that ball into the net on a regular basis. It backs up everything that I've said in every chat that we've had for the last 1,000 years on this forum.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, between Trevor and Tabiso, sounds a little bit like Chinese water torture to me. You know, shoot, 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 drip, 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 water. You know, it's just, yeah. Where do we go with this stuff? I don't know. I think there are all sorts of laws, natural laws, Ed, so I completely disagree with you. You just got to have a look at the way nature operates without of us. It operates within structures, it operates within systems, it operates within microbiomes. I think all the laws that man has made are a bunch of rubbish, actually. So let's go back to the session we had with no laws, yeah, no rules. Yeah, I think just go with the natural ones. As soon as man puts pen to paper or tries to engage that thing that sits between his ears, he screws things up big time. So I think natural laws are good. I think natural laws are great, and I think we constantly finding out that they're changing. Some of them, anyway. As I said earlier, if you've ever heard of a photon and a phonon, first time I heard of a phonon was the other night. Didn't realize what it was. It's an element of sound. No, that's the phone off. You don't want those. I mean, there's just switch those things off. So it's it's an element of sound, and it actually has negative mass. So it reacts the other way around to gravity. So it goes up with gravity rather than goes down. So we all thought gravity was a one-way exercise, but it's not. Well, it's not for phonons anyway, but it might be for the rest of us. We'll just have to wait and see whether they work that one out. So Ed, yeah, science fiction is becoming science fact, and I know you don't like that very much, but the warp engine is on its way. We're going to blast off into space on the back of Elon Musk's phonon-powered craft, and it's all about sound. It's all about sound. So if you want to know how the pyramids were made, talk to them. They'll tell you. Natural laws. No one dragged it up there with a donkey, I promise you. But as you can see, I've got nothing to say this morning. So Lee, you better tell us what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Ivan, I definitely think you should have another coffee. And I know you don't drink coffee. So I wonder whether we talk about metaphors and so on in wisdoms, and this and we've been talking now about natural laws. What about if we talk about rivers tomorrow? Trevor started talking about the river and what he learned from observing rivers, being on rivers. So if we were to pay attention to what a river is, what do we learn? What does it? Yeah. So let's talk rivers tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not sure John wants us to talk about it, but anyway, we'll talk about rivers and see which way it takes us. So have a great day, folks. Paddle down some rivers, find out what they're all about, ask them some good questions, come back and tell us what you found out tomorrow. Otherwise, have a great day. Oh, you can join us in 26 minutes when we pop across to the UK, and then at 3 p.m. South African time when we pop across to the US. But if not, we'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.